I don't believe that you would actually hype me up. Speaking of things we don't believe.
Welcome to Oddball. Amin Elhassan, Charlotte Wilder in New York City. Yes. That's
You
right.
know how many times I have to fight saying it like that, and you just did it?
And the most devious bastard in New York City.
New York City.
Shout out to what we do in the shadows. Great show for you guys today. It's Friday. The weekend's here. You get to relax a little, kick back, maybe get our spirits lifted a little, Charlotte. Maybe someone would
Hype us up?
Yep, there it is. Hype Me Up. A little segment called Hype Me Up coming up a little bit later. Also, the second half of our conversation with Roland Lazenby. He wrote a book called Magic, Life of Earvin, Magic Johnson. But we went far beyond just magic. We went into a bunch of really deep conversations. It was a joy, and I'm excited for you guys to witness the second half of our conversation with him. Light night last night, Charlotte, in the association. Only 2 games. I was at one of them.
Only 2 games.
I was at one of them. It was
Heat.
You
were at Thunder's Warriors.
No, yeah. I wish. No,
Thunder.
I was at Heat Nets, where I've seen the Heat and the Nets now about 7 billion times in this young season already. But
yeah, I feel like they play every other day. Does that feel accurate?
And I feel like I go to the game every other day. That's the other part. So,
right.
But it was a fun contest. The Miami Heat defeated the Nets 122-115 on the Culture Court with the Heat Culture jerseys on, Charlotte. You like that look?
I mean, well, sure. I feel like if they had lost, though, in the Culture jerseys on the Culture Court, that sparked some hard conversations. I mean, that I'm very glad that it went well for them, because otherwise that marketing team is going to be like, oh, God, maybe it's not working.
Maybe we can't convince people that we can just will ourselves to victory. They did that last night, though.
Right?
They did
How
it
was
last
it?
night.
You
No
were there.
Tyler Hero, 36 points from Jimmy Butler. He scored 18 in the third quarter. He looked unstoppable. There's a point where I texted my buddies, "Oh, Jimmy smells blood," when he was just hunting. And a nice 26-piece from Duncan Robinson, including the most glorious up and under move. I didn't even know he had that in his bag. Charlotte, I literally texted Jeremy Taché. I said, I broke character in the press box. Because when he did that move, I went, what? Like, I literally put my hands on my head and sat back, and my eyes flew wide open. And then I realized, you're in public. You can't be acting like this. And then I recomposed myself.
The amount of times that I have been admonished in the press box would surprise nobody. So
you can't wear a Larry Bird power forward T-shirt to the press box.
Well, I didn't do that. I did fist pump under the table, I thought, when the Red Sox beat the Yankees, but it was actually in plain sight. So my question to you is, with the Duncan Robinson thing, I know that he frustrates you, or he has frustrated you in the past. Did he frustrate you last night, or did you feel like this was a breakthrough of sorts?
Well, I hesitate to call anything a breakthrough, because you could go back to doing the same thing the next night. But no, he's been consistently aggressive, if not always efficient. I know he's had some stinkers or shooting nights, but to me, it's always been Duncan Robinson. You have to come out there acting like you're a threat. You can't be hemming and hawing, and he's been guilty of that in the past. And last night, and so far this season, I think he hasn't been. He's been more aggressive, especially since he's been inserted into the starting lineup. Last night, he was aggressively looking for a shot, and then when he made a couple and the defense has to react and close out, he put it on the floor. That up and under layup wasn't the only drive he had to the basket. He had a couple of those. And even Jimmy Butler talked about he's starting to look for the lob pass and little different things there. So that's all I'm looking for, is for him to be aggressive. Good shooting night, bad shooting night. That's kind of almost irrelevant, because I think he's a great shooter. He's going to figure it out one way or another. The big conversation is Tyler Hero. Another game missed, another win for the Heat. That's 7 in a row now. I think Tyler was only there for the first 2 of those. And people say, oh, does that mean they're better without him? And I still go back to, this team is a bottom third offense and bottom third in half-court offense. there's no way you can tell me that someone who is gifted at putting the ball in the basket is unneeded or unnecessary to your plight.
Right. 100%. Also, shout out Nescac's own Duncan Robinson. That's a reference that maybe, 3% of America will understand.
3%? You think 3% of
to...
America know where that is? I think you live in a bubble.
No, point 0.3?
Yeah, something like 0.03.
0.03?
Yep.
All right, moving on, to Thunder Warriors. There were a lot of guys who had double digits for the Warriors, but it just was not enough, and the Thunder won. Yeah,
we should point out Draymond Green obviously serving his suspension, first game of a 5-game suspension. Steph Curry also out with knee injury. So this wasn't exactly your uncle's or your grandpa's Warriors. This is the baby Warriors.
Your grandpa's Warriors. Do you think you could name the 7 players who had points in the double digits last night for the Warriors?
They had 7 in double digits?
7 in double digits. It was 128-109 loss, and they had 7 players.
Okay. All right, let me get the easy ones out first. Klay Thompson?
No.
No Klay Thompson? Okay. Andrew Wiggins?
Yes.
Kevon Looney?
Yes.
Chris Paul?
Yes.
All right. Those are the easy ones. Okay, now we get...
You're like, who else is on the Warriors?
Kuminga, because Draymond didn't play, so he had to do a bunch. Moody?
Yes.
Dario Saric?
Yes.
And I'm missing one. It's not Dale Davis's son, not Trace Jackson Davis or Trace Davis Jackson, whatever his name is. I call him Dale Davis Jr. Him? No?
No.
Is it the little white point guard with a suspiciously Polish-sounding name, but I think he's like from Delaware or something like that? Is it him?
Yeah. What's his name?
I keep calling him Joe Poznansky, but I know that's not his name.
Yeah, it's Pajemski.
Pajemski. I was close. I noticed that.
Brandon Pajemski. Is he the one who said that he was like the spare tire for the Warriors?
He said that about himself?
Someone said that about spare tire Warriors. Let's see what the Google.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. He said that in the press conference after the Draymond Rudy fight, he was like, I just see myself as a spare tire for the team. Like Klay was out, so I had to come in. And meanwhile, he has a sweatband on and like a black eye for some reason, and you're just like, does this guy rule? Like, is this the greatest? Like, no. I just love the idea of someone knowing their role, being like, I know I'm not a star. I know that I'm sort of lucky to be here, so I'm just going to do whatever you need.
He's playing for the Warriors. Like that's a little easier, unless your name is Kelly Oubre, to show up and just accept that, like, hey, I'm just one of the guys. But I do like that Brandon.
You would think, but men's egos.
Brandon Pajemski, I like is that he's inherited the mantle from Dante DiVincenzo for name that sounds like you're a European import, but really from like down the way. So, congratulations,
and it's always like
Brandon.
the Mid-Atlantic.
What's up?
They're always from the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah, somewhere in the Mid-Atlantic. Absolutely. Well, I like that Brandon has a very healthy self-view, but some people, Charlotte, need a little bit more. Can we do something for him?
You know what? I think we can. I think we should hype him up.
There we go. Hype me up next. Hey, Charlotte, we got some depressed people out there. They need a pick-me-up. Can you do something for them?
I can hype them up.
Yep, there it is. It's Hype Me Up. It's a segment where we're given the name of a player or an entity or a team or whatever, and the other person has to find ways to motivate these people from the dredges of their depression. Charlotte, your first option here is Adam Silver. With players starting to buy into the in-season tournament, Anthony Davis recently said, 500,000 sounds real good to us. It's going to bring that juice. You know what I mean?
Adam, listen, I don't think you need a whole lot of hyping up. I think you're rolling, man. I think that in your in-season tournament play on Tuesday, you had 3 separate fights break out. I said 2 days ago, that I really think that's an evidence of how much these guys care. Anthony Davis said it himself. You're going to see them all in Vegas. The guys who make it, they're going to be feeling great just by virtue of having made this a thing. We're all talking about it. Congrats, Adam. You're a great commissioner.
Pretty good.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes.
The Clippers Bones Highland after Coach Ty Lue told him he would not be in the rotation for the foreseeable future.
See, this is a hype me up. Not, hey, Adam, your life is great. Here, let me tell you why it's great. This
you're
is
rich.
Yeah, Bones. Look, buddy, look at me. Listen to me. First of all, you don't want your fingerprints anywhere near this car wreck. This thing is going down in the drain. You don't want to be associated or affiliated with any of this. I promise you that. Number two, you know what everyone around the league is thinking? The moment they have an injury to a scorer or a pivotal piece, they're going to be like, I'm going to call the Clippers. They don't need Bones Highland. I need Bones Highland. And guess what, baby? You're going to go somewhere where you're going to be loved and appreciated, and you're going to get the opportunity to get busy. And that's all you've ever wanted. Denver, Mike Malone didn't want you to get busy. Clippers, Tyler doesn't want you to get busy. Don't you want to get busy? I think you could get busy. And you'll get busy when you get traded or maybe released and then signed somewhere else. Trust me, it's a good thing. Charlotte, number 2.
Way to go, Bone. Yep.
Is this a joke? What's happening? Is this Bizarro Day? Charlotte, you have to hype up the Boston Celtics after Joel Embiid called them the best team in the league.
Why don't I hype up Joel Embiid?
Yeah, like that seems a lot more appropriate. Hype up Joel Embiid. He called the Celtics the best team in the league, even though at the time they had the, same record.
Joel, my dude, listen. This is not a big problem. As much as it pains me to say, as someone who loves the Boston Celtics, you guys are a close second. You were playing to be first in the NBA. That's huge. There are 30 teams trying to do this, and you're number 2. Okay. You were MVP. You're the reigning MVP, my dude. You just got to kick it into a higher gear. I know the Celtics have a lot of depth. Guess what? You do too. And when Kelly Oubre is back, you're going to have even more. Tyrese has just been amazing. You've been playing pretty great too, so I just think that everything's going to work out, and you don't need to worry about anything, my dude.
It's very reassuring, Charlotte.
Was it?
It was.
Carl, you have to hype up Karl Anthony Towns after Pat Bev called him bogus as hell, and that is a direct quote, for not defending Rudy Gobert after Draymond put Gobert in a chokehold.
All right. First of all, consider the source, Patrick Beverley. When has he ever been an arbiter of realness or bogusness? Nobody pays attention to him. Don't worry about it. But also, Carl, he did say something that I thought was interesting and kind of true. It's like, nobody really likes Rudy, so I don't think you have to defend yourself that hard. You could just be like, I was sticking up for Jaden McDaniels. Like, he wasn't choked out, was he? See? I saved the day. Oh, Rudy got hurt. Oh, so bad. Trust me, Carl, no one cares. Everyone's going to forget about this. All they remember is Rudy getting choked out and go, Sucker Blue, you're fine. No one's going to remember your role in this. And least of all, Patrick Beverley, who no one listens to him.
Great, that was good.
Charlotte, your last one. Mm-hmm. Ty Lue, as he faces what he called his, quote, toughest challenge as a head coach. You have to hype up Ty Lue.
Okay, Ty, I can see where this would be a very tough challenge. I can see where this might not feel great right now, considering that James Harden was thrust upon you and now you have to deal with it. And you're always like, oh, everybody's sacrificing and they're cool with it. And then it's like, are they cool with it? We're not totally sure. But listen, you have won 2 NBA championships as a player. You have won 1 as a coach. You brought Cleveland its first championship. You did that with LeBron James. You think anyone's going to care about a Clippers team that was like a Frankenstein of olding? Do you think anyone's going to care about a Frankenstein of a team of aging superstars and think, hey, you know whose fault this is? Ty Lue really couldn't get it together. No one is going to think that. Get through this year. You'll be fine.
It's a good point.
My dude.
No one will remember Ty Lue.
Right?
Yeah.
No one's going to be like, oh, wow.
It was Ty Lue's fault. No one's ever going to say that. That's true.
No one's ever going to say that. Okay, Amin, are you ready?
Yep, my last one.
Your last one. You have to hype up Tyrese Maxey after embracing his new role after the James Harden trade.
Max! We did it, baby! Hold on. Okay, remember when everyone was like, you should take that contract extension, the Sixers to take it. And I told you, don't do it. Don't do it for a penny less than Max because you're worth that. And so you turned it down. I'm like, oh, that's a risky move, rah, rah, rah. And then Harden gets traded, and now you've been blowing them up, just blowing up. And guess what? You're going to get every last dollar of that max and maybe some incentives that'll get up to 30% of the cap with the Rose Rule extension. Oh, my God. Yo, trust me on this one, baby. We did it. We gambled, we threw our dicks on the table, and guess what? It came back in spades. That's right. Tyrese Maxey, you're going to be a very, very rich man. You're going to be an all-star maybe, because what this league loves is a winner. And guess what you and the Sixers have been doing? You've been winning, and you've been balling, and a huge part of that victory and that success. So reap the benefits. I don't even know why I have to hype you up. You should already be hyped, Tyrese.
Tyrese Maxey. It's right in the name.
Can't spell Max without Maxey, or the other way around.
All right, thanks for watching. Hype me up. Up next, we will continue our conversation with Roland Lazenby.
I was at the All-Star game. I'd been with the Lakers, really writing about Magic and the HIV and all that stuff during that period. And I went to the All-Star game in Orlando and sat down with his mother, the other big part of the Magic story are his parents. And she's just a wonderful person. And she had this story about Magic on the first day of school. The kids were misbehaving, and he had this little white teacher, and he stood up and he just told everybody to get in their seat and to be quiet and listen to the teacher. And they all dutifully obeyed. And so I go to Magic after that and tell him about that situation, because his mother had run into this teacher years later that year at the grocery store. And he looked at me very seriously and he said, "She shouldn't be telling you my secrets." And if you look at the record, and this, in some ways, this is not uncommon, but if you look at the record, Magic's got 9 siblings, 8 are still living, 7. His father had 3 children before he met Magic's mother, Christine. And so they had 7. And so what's the last time you ever heard one of Magic's siblings say anything about him publicly? And this is true of a lot of driven people. And these great competitors, as you guys know as well as I do, the ones that truly hit that level of greatness, they are absolutely driven. They are perfectionists, and they control as many things as they can.
Roland, that is so fascinating, because something that I think a lot of people in the last few years think of when they think of Magic are his tweets, which say literally nothing every time something happens. It'll be like, wow, LeBron James is good at basketball. Like truly the most basic things you could ever put out there is what he put out there. And it's so interesting to me that you're talking about all these specific stories, and these stories about using his influence for good and also for control. And for him to say that to you about his mom, not saying that story, seems like he is cultivating this image of saying as little as he can. Do you think that has to do with the money part of it, with the franchises he owns and his trying to chase Michael in that billionaire arena to not mess up any potential business?
I don't think there's any question of that. I think you're exactly right. The business means a lot to him. Magic during the winning time thing came up with this story that Nike had actually offered him a deal like Michael too. And of course, Nike not. That never happened. But that's more a function of Magic wanting to compete economically with Michael. And that's been driving at them since that All-Star game in Indianapolis.
Roland, one of the things you did in this book was you traveled to the ancestral home of the Johnson family and traced their roots all the way back to when that family was enslaved. What motivated you to pursue that angle, and what did you learn?
Everything. Magic's family is remarkable. And his great aunt was married to a senator who cast key votes for the University of North Carolina and for NC State back after the Civil War when those schools were in deep financial trouble. Today we have data mining that we didn't have even when I was doing the Michael Jordan book. And I was able to find his fourth great grandmother on the plantation of these very powerful people. But I just looked at the fundamental economics. Land was 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents, sometimes $1 an acre. A black male slave, $500, $600, $700, $800, $900. The life of one person worth a couple thousand acres, maybe. And that, that sort of, I think everybody in America should understand that fundamental economics, because it's sort of, the image everywhere in our culture is all this worthlessness. Well, that land was worthless, but the people made it valuable. And the people were commodified. They were like 401ks. And you combine that with all the other things on the record. There's no wonder people were morally twisted over this, because it was an evil a corruption. And then after that, it was all sharecropping. With sharecropping, that was not going to happen. It was just an opportunity to get cheated. And so I just think it's cynical. It's what I didn't like about Winning Time. I thought Winning Time was an incredibly cynical effort to make a cartoon of the Lakers, and everything from bullying Jerry West over his mental health to sort of making a cartoon of people who were not cartoons. I just don't think that serves our mutual interests culturally. And maybe I'm being some old crabby Appleton complaining about that, but we got a lot of work to do in this country. People have got to come to terms with our real history, what it means. It's not what we think it is. It is far uglier, but we can reach out and see it. And the history I'm talking about is in the census records, it's in the numbers, it's in all the things on the record. But the story of Black Americans is the leading story of freedom, which is precious to us all. And the sooner we get to recognizing that, and basketball's led us there partly. I don't want to ruin all the fun of basketball, although some people have tried in recent years and how they've remade the game. But that's another story. But I just think it all begins there. And I have to say this. My Michael Jordan The Life is in 21 languages. It just came out in Portuguese. My Kobe Bryant book is in 12 languages. My Magic book is already licensed in 7 languages. I don't know how many. Europeans and people all over the globe are fascinated by American race relations, just as they worship as warriors. Michael, Kobe, Magic, Larry Bird, these key figures. When you look at the sorry state of American basketball before Magic Johnson arrived there with Larry Bird in 1979, there was nobody in America paying attention to it, much less anybody globally. But today, these men are important cultural figures. Magic Johnson, with what he's done and what he has fought through to do that. Yes, he's made mistakes. They're very obvious. I don't hesitate to talk about those, just as I don't hesitate to talk about Michael's, but they stand up against the criticism well. We're all human, and we all make mistakes, and we all do things that are low. But in total, and that's what a biography is. It's an independent accounting of a great life. And basically, that's just what I was trying to do.
Thank you so much, Roland. Everybody, be sure to go out and pick up a copy of Roland Lazenby's book, Magic, The Life of Earvin Magic Johnson, available wherever you get your books.
I really thank you for having me on.
Thanks for watching Oddball. Always a pleasure.